Hello, hello, and welcome. I am Webweaver, and I'm so glad you have found my channel here today. This is where I do a one card tarot reading just to give us some guidance for our day ahead. As always, these readings are for entertainment purposes only, and I am using the Dreams of Gaia tarot deck. Um, this deck is different than traditional tarot, so I do have notes that I pull from to help guide my readings. All right, I'm on later than I wanted to be today. But I've had a few things in the works, planning a ritual for the uh, hours before the full moon. The moon is actually full on the 3rd, but it's out like 5 something in the morning. I am not a morning person. That is not happening. So I'm getting my ritual ready for the day before. Um, and had to gather some things for that. The littles wanted to go play in the snow, even though it was bitter cold. Making our traditional pork and sauerkraut, although my sauerkraut is a chocolate sauerkraut cake because I do not like sauerkraut, but I got it. Um, and was starting to slowly work my way through the astrology forecast for 2026. If you haven't seen those guys, um, Chris Brennan and Austin Coppock, it's called the Astrology Podcast, but they're this year's video is over 4 hours long because this is going to be one heck of a ride. Um, I'm like, I don't know, 25 minutes in, so I have a while. But if you haven't seen it, check it out. They also give outlooks for your rising sign. If you know your rising sign, you can get your yearly astrology on there. And they do a monthly one as well when it comes to doing the each month. So yeah, that's where we are. So that's what I've been doing today. That's why I'm on later. I also cleaned up an old computer that I had and got it to work, got it to function properly. It was not running well at all, and it took hours to defragment. But I cleaned it up, and I'm going to be using that one to do readings so that I don't have to haul my good one up here all the time. I can just keep it up here. Um, so that is in the works as well. I'm waiting on an adapter because I have a digital camera that's the USB-C plug, and the computer is old enough that it does not have one of those. But it will run Windows 11. It installed that yesterday, so it just has USB ports, so I had to get an adapter. But I will have that up and running. The adapter is supposed to come Sunday, so maybe I'll use it Sunday. If not, it'll be Monday. All right, so this reading is going to be for Friday, January 2nd. What do we need to know for January 2nd? What's our message for January 2nd? What do we need to know for January 2nd? What's our message for January 2nd? What do we need to know for January 2nd? What's our message for January 2nd? What do we need to know for January 2nd? What's our message for January 2nd? Oof. What do we need to know for January 2nd? All right. I will split the deck. I do not read reversals. We have body mind. This is a balance card. All right, let me bring you down. So this card has to do with the way that the body and mind interact. You have to keep both of them healthy. If one of them is out of balance, it can mess with the other one. This is all about finding balance between your physical health and your physical well-being and your mental health and your mental well-being. So let me read to you the description that I took notes on. It symbolizes a need to keep a healthy understanding of the relationship between mind and body and the power each can have over the other. It symbolizes being able to differentiate between fact and opinion and to make room for the imagination within our realities, while still embracing a little bit of reality within our imaginings. This may be challenging for some because the eyes can only see what the mind is willing to conceive. So, the more rigid the mind, the more difficult it is to accept how much influence and power the mind and body have over each other. This card relates to discerning between fact and opinion and being wise to the difference. 11 relates to balance, and this card asks you to determine if you have an imbalance through meditation. So, if something in your body is out of whack, it can mess with your mind. How many times do you get an ache or pain and you think, "Oh, what is that? Am I dying?" WebMD may tell you that you're dying. Um, or, if you are struggling with depression or anxiety or intrusive thoughts or what have you, and you start having physical ailments, there is a connection there, and you do need to keep a balance. But it also ties into your thoughts and your beliefs. If you believe yourself, if, for example, I was raised Catholic, I was raised in the church, I am no longer Catholic, I am a practicing witch. I initiated in 2014, self initiation, supported by the coven I belong to, but we were an eclectic tradition, so there is no lineage per se. Um, but, when you're in the church and you're taught that you're a sinner and there's something wrong with you, and you have to be, you know, you have to act like that in your entire life. I mean, that's 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 quite a mindset to have, right? You're thinking of yourself as broken all the time. When in actuality, that is not the case. You are whole and complete, and we all have shadows, we all have scars, we all have things we've dealt with and gone through, but that makes you who you are. And as long as you deal with them and don't let them control your life, it's not a problem. So having a mindset where you tell yourself affirmations every day. One of the darkest periods of my life, I would tell myself, I can handle anything. I can handle anything. And I had friends that would remind me, you can handle everything. Now, I did eventually add to that and say, just not all at once. but I, you have to take it as it comes. But having the mindset, the can do mindset, the um, you're strong, you're beautiful, you're um, a wonderful person. You have all the skills that you need. You are capable. You are worthy. Having those kinds of mindsets is very beneficial for your mind and your body. So, you have to find a balance there and you have to keep a balance. And that's what this card is telling us today. Um, it's interesting. It's talking about being able to tell what's real and what's imagination. I'm only on the first part of that podcast, that video on YouTube from the astrology podcast, but there is a Saturn Neptune conjunction happening in February, and part of that, um, as the host, uh, Chris Brennan said, um, is a reality distortion aspect. Having difficulty telling what is real and what is not real, what's a truth and what is a lie. So it's very interesting. I highly recommend, if you have any interest in astrology, to follow them, follow the astrology podcast. He brings other people on as well. But yeah, we're in one of those times. So it's interesting that this card came up today. All right, if you would like to meditate on the imagery of this card, feel free to pause the video. Otherwise, I will be back tomorrow with our next reading. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your evening if you're watching this on January 1st. If you're watching this on January 2nd, I hope you are enjoying your day and that this card makes sense. Have a wonderful evening. Blessed be.